Hello folks, and welcome back to Noob-Splaining. My name is Wolf. If you're new around here, then this channel is aimed at two types of people. Those who know little to nothing about 40k, and those of us who are, shall we say, more seasoned, and love to poke fun at the absurdity of it all. And what better than to look at the good, the bad, and the stupid of each individual faction. And this week, we're turning our attention to the Astra Militarum. Now, I've never seen this script before, so this is a complete blind read. The script was wrote for me by Victor, so if you find it funny, please buy him a coffee, because I sure as hell don't feed him. But before we get on with it, let's get the obligatory stuff out of the way. Don't forget to like, subscribe, but most importantly, share this video with someone who could do some noob-splaining in their life. And while you're at it, click the link in the description and join my Discord, where you can come and meet the crew. Right, before we start, I just want to make it very clear, do have respect for Astra Militarum players, especially when you see the sheer amount of models they have to collect and paint. However, I just want to point out that after 13 Black Crusades and Cadia finally fell, every single one of those crusades, when they popped out of the Eye of Terror, they always turned left towards Cadia, never once did they turn right towards Fenris. Just saying. Just saying. Right, so let's crack on. The good. So, the hammer of the Emperor, the mailed fist of humanity, the Astra Militarum. Wait a fucking second.
Astra Miller what, mate? You're in the guard now, Victor. I don't care if it's what Games Workshop wants me to call them. It's a stupid change for a stupid fucking reason, and I'm not fucking going along with it. You're in the fucking guard now, son.
That has to be a new record for how quickly you can fuck up a script. But hey, here we go. The Imperial Guard. Regular, old guard and variety humans for the most part, with the obvious exception of certain types of abhumans, like the Ogryn, who kind of resemble Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, or the Ratlings, who kind of resemble Kevin Hart. Oh, fuck me, Victor, you got me already. Right. Look, all I'm saying is this is an infinite universe. Somewhere out there we have a version of Jumanji starring an Ogryn and a Ratling who are lost on Catachan. Now that I would love to see. Anyway, this long-ass introductory statement all to point out what I think is the single best thing about the Imperial Guard, in my humble opinion anyway. Because the Imperial Guard is a galaxy-spanning organisation that's operated almost entirely and exclusively by what's close enough to be considered regular people by the standards of 40k, they're fucking endless. Seriously, in stark contrast to most of the strategy-based sci-fi settings, humans aren't the jack of all trades, small struggling solar empire that we've seen so often. The Imperium, and by extension the Imperial Guard, are an endless swarm of disposable and expendable labour and lives. This is a big enough problem for the other races of the galaxy that the Eldar have from time to time compared humanity with orcs, in their difficulty to get rid of because of their rampant reproduction, but also our levels of tech. Sure, they also specialise in artillery and armoured formations, but have you ever seen a fully deployed Imperial Guard armour regiment? It's still a swarm, it's just now it has caterpillar tracks and high explosive ordnance. I'm going to sound like a broken record for bringing this up in yet another list, but there's no shortage of guard books to read up on too, and some of them are amongst the best pieces of writing in the whole setting. Just going off script here, I do agree, the Space Marine books, although millions of them, you just don't get the feel in there, but anything about the Guard, then yeah, you feel like they are actual normal humans. Sorry. This brings me back to the obligatory mention of the greatest man to ever serve alongside the Imperial Guard. It is Sci-Fi motherfucking Kane. Get him, Victor, I'll give you an extra biscuit for that one. I'll keep this short because Commissar Kane is deserving of an entire archive of videos dedicated to his peerless greatness, definitely, Victor, that's a mission for you, Sci-Fi's Kane script. But to list a couple of his most alpha Chad achievements, you need to mention that he ran headlong into an advanced Tyranid ground force and managed to survive, regularly ran afoul of chaos without being killed or corrupted, and managed to convince Deadly Inquisitor and Galactic Bear Super Babe Amelie Vale to hammer his Emperor, if you catch my drift. He'd 40D'd her K, if you know what I mean. He utterly gamed her workshop. I like those references. I'm going to be stealing them. Look, I know we walk the fine line of demonetisation here, so I'll just leave it up to your imaginations. Lots of people claim that Perturabo is the Emperor's silliest clown. Those people have never read the Kane books. He gets away with silliness so silly it honestly makes you wonder if he isn't a chaos god of luck and awesomeness. Playing and collecting Imperial Guard is almost worth it on the merit of being able to claim that you're part of the same faction, that North Sci-Fi's Kane hero of the Imperium. That's your reading recommendation for this week. Go get started on any of the Sci-Fi's Kane novels and thank me later. Bringing it back to more relatable point, And I'm making a big assumption here, but Warhammer fans tend to be regular, unremarkable, non-special virgins with no friends. I resemble that comment. That's kind of sad. It's easy to relate to the Guardsmen. I mean, all you have to do is replace whatever horrible monstrosity they're fighting in any given story with your mother. It'd be also be biographical in nature. All joking aside, if you're the type who cannot play any supporting... All joking aside, if you're the type who cannot play or support any army unless they're all carbon copies made in your own underwhelming image, the Guard are for you. Because in a galaxy of gene-enhanced super soldiers, actual demons from hell, and blue-skinned aliens with a Gundam fetish, you believe a swarm of panicky hairless apes are still the perfect tool for the job. Because you're one of the panicky hairless apes, and you have a bias and a lack of imagination. Bit harsh but true. The bad. While I've already talked about how the ultra-average nature of the Imperial Guard is one of its biggest boons as an organisation, I've not mentioned the other side of this double-edged dildo, that being the fact that being ultra-average and ultra-numerous comes with the territory of also being ultra-expendable. Seriously, snowflakes in hell would compare their situation favourably against that of your regular Guardsmen. In the Diddy Party, that is the 41st millennium, the Imperial Guard are like a fresh-faced Canadian child star, and it shows the second things start to go wrong on the tabletop. I'm going to hold it together. If you want to play the Guard, there's very much an army that requires you to have all your unit tactics and stratagems lined up and synergising well. The drawback of having such great synergies in an army list is that you're sort of required to use them. There's no easy wins for the Imperial Guard, just hard-won victories snatched from the jaws of defeat by clever commanders. True. Some armies can rely on dice rolls to get them across the finish line. The Guard is not one of them. It's all fun and games throwing basilisk shells across the table at enemy Celts' rings until a bunch of warp talons steps out from whatever hemorrhoid-enriched corner of the warp to remind you that you forgot to bring a squad of Ogryn to block your ass from a charge, and those Cadians who were supposed to be doing it were instead lying all over the place as big piles of guts and shit trousers. Speaking of shit, the absolute shit ton of space and money you're going to need to spend on collecting Emperor Chris's most expendable resources is astronomical. The average price point of a single Guard unit is very cheap in comparison to most of the other armies operating in the 41st millennium. But this means that you're going to need about 90 trillion of the little fuckers to get the job done, this is true. This, of course, comes with the side territory of having to assemble, paint, and most difficult of all, store your hundreds upon hundreds of tiny men-at-arms. Going off script again. A friend of mine managed to buy an entire Imperial Guard army, complete with a Baneblade. Even though it had a Baneblade, he still had to hire a van to transport it from the said town to his own town. Anyway, specialising in tanks and building a mechanised regiment will cut down on this a little bit, but as I said before, even mechanised Imperial Guard armies can look like swarms, so I'd be lying to say the problem went away completely. I'll be completely honest, I've only ever attempted to collect and play the Guard one time in my life. It was back in the early 2010s, around 6th edition had just come out, and I had got pretty tired of my regular Astartes vs Tyrannid games I was having weekly at that point. I decided I'd branch out and finally try collecting the Guard. After buying a couple of boxes of Cadians, a command squad, some Catechans and a couple of Sentinels, I realised that after a month of spine-warping assembling and painting, I didn't have enough shelf space for the admittedly embarrassingly small force of cannon fodder I'd collected. I had to quit before I'd even started, because I was going to have to choose between the satisfaction of using Zach Brannigan-style tactics to overwhelm my enemies, or having space to fucking sleep at night. Lastly, for bed, I need to point a long finger squarely at the scoreboard of the 41st millennium, and say the obligatory, "Ah, here we go. Yeah, we ain't gonna do great since Abaddon slammed his big black longstone fortress into Cadia's ass and busted a solid warp nut over half the galaxy's chest." Oh, that wasn't as bad as I expected. It isn't... Oh, hang on, we haven't finished yet. It is indeed the gentlest way of describing how bad Abaddon fucked them. Cadia has stood as a beacon of how immovable, how unassailable, and just how dangerous humanity was when normal men and women stood their ground in the face of literal hell and said, "Get the fuck off my lawn." Now, it's a massive stain upon not just the Imperial Guard, but the entire Imperium as a whole. I know Imperial fanboys, here we go, love to shout from the rooftops, "The planet broke before the Guard did," or "Cadia stands," but the truth is, these are just mantras to smooth broken hearts. Like I said earlier, never turned right towards Fenris, just saying. Make no mistake, choosing to play Guard right now in the current setting is like deciding to become an airport security officer on September the 12th, 2000. Not just because Osama bin Laden crashed an aerial vehicle into something he wanted gone. That's going to get me in trouble. Just a reminder, folks, I didn't write the script, and if anyone would like Victor's home address, please DM me. The Stupid. So it's once again time for me to nitpick the quality of Games Workshop master craftsmanship. And yes, I know that I've already spoken about the mini collecting aspect of the guard, but this thing stands on its own. Have you ever looked at the faces of the guardsmen you're collecting? Holy fucking shit. The sculpted look on most models' faces is a vacant stupidity. I want to know what the hell went wrong between now and the 41st, because the vast majority of Imperial Guardsmen are uglier than your mother. Seriously, your mother's that bad, she's a double bagger. I have to wear a bag in case her falls off. Anyway, there are some minis that are sculpted with amazing detail and expression on the face. Look at Castellan Creed. Look at his scarred face, his stern expression, his utter authority from just his face. Now, look at a Catachan Jungle Fighter and tell me that man has never suffered a brain aneurysm or 6. It's not just there. The Catachans, it's an epidemic. There's a specific head from the newest Cadian box set that's got its mouth open, yelling I assume, and it looks like a python unhinging its jaw. Silver lining is a smile each time I see him. Emperor Speed, whole-faced ace. I want to again make fun of the community too, and say if I have to hear one more person compare the Imperial Guard to SS Stormtroopers again, I'm going to break apart like Legos. This massive corpse-grinding machine of war we call the Guard is actually probably one of the most inclusive military organisations operating in the 41st millennium, other than that of the Tau Empire. But Imperial Guard are based off Nazis on evil. I've seen it on BuzzFeed article. I seen it! I heard you cry with your little baby bitch tears. No, you've only looked at Kriegers. They are indeed doing some sort of master race Ubermensch cloning thing and are wearing scary mask and overcoat. There's some clear moustache fancy in that group. I won't argue with that. But now, I'll direct your attention to any number of the literal hundreds of other Guard regiments. Look at the Praetorian Guard, or the Talon Desert Raiders. Look at that and tell me you see Nazi. Truth be told, the Imperial Guard is one of the most equal opportunity employees in all of 40k. You could be a man, woman, black, white, or even a smelly 4-foot-tall rat person with beady eyes. As long as you're a human, or at least fit the arbitrary standard of adherence the Imperium allows, there is a place for you regardless of skin colour, except for green or purple, because orcs and gene stealers can be fucking sneaky. The ultimate thing I want to ramble on about today's video is how Games Workshop massacred my boy. And yes, this will be my last mention of the incredible injustice done to the legend. Somehow I doubt this. Sebastian Yarrick. I know I must sound like a broken record at this point, but it just bears repeating. So for any real noobs here, Sebastian Yarrick was an Imperial Guard commissar and managed to be such stubborn pain in the ass for the Orcish invaders at the Second and Third Wars for the planet Armageddon. Again, if you're calling a planet Armageddon, you're inviting fucking trouble. That he ended up becoming a sort of boogeyman for all orc kind. The badass motherfucker had come face to face with Big Gazgul himself and had been set free from captivity because their legendary rivalry was so valuable to Gaz that all he could say was, "Good enemies is all to find." So the natural thing to do was kill him off-page/screen with the living blender that is Angron. That was an absolute fucking stupid idea from Games Workshop. Anyway, good night everybody. I think I'll end this script as abruptly as Games Workshop ended Yarrick's place in Warhammer, or HBO ended The Sopranos. And that's it. Thanks for watching everyone. Now, me and Victor know you only have a finite number of hours in the day, so we appreciate the fact that you're willing to spend some of them with us. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, but most importantly share this video with any noobs that could use a good Noob-Splaining. Don't forget to join the Discord, and me and Victor will see you next time. Thank you.